I know about half of you, and the other half of you, there's some refreshing new faces, both within the organisation that puts this together and in the audience, which is how it should be, because things move on. And you, I'm sure, have noticed, because you managed to come all the way here, but we're in a new venue. For our first time ever at the small school in Hartland. I came here by accident a while back, and I fell in love with the place. I think it's an absolutely fantastic, gorgeous, gorgeous place. What I am wondering is how many more people I'm going to be able to fit in here, because you're all looking fairly standing room only already. But this is great. We have a nice collection of people. Some of you are friends, some of you will, a lot more of you will be friends before the weekend's over. Because that's what the weekend is about. It's about making links with other people. It's about fostering a sense of community. And I am so pleased and proud that we're able to start working in conjunction with the small school. Because I'm not going to, I hope I'm not going to offend anybody in the audience who is a teacher, but I do not have a very high opinion of mainstream education. I don't think it is the teacher's fault. I think it is the fault of the politicians who have made education not about learning, but about getting the skills to pass exams, which is a totally different thing. I love this school, and the more I find out about this school, I love it more and more. These people have the same philosophy towards the environment, towards the animals who share our world with us, as Richard, me, Karina, Graham, and everybody else in the CFZ has. And I hope that this is the beginning of many years working happily and fruitfully together. Now, you will notice that there are some faces who are missing. Graham, no, your face isn't missing, Graham. Graham's not here today because he's back at the ranch looking after my aging mother-in-law. She was going to come, but she's 85, and the thought of meeting so many new people was a bit much for her, and I didn't want to leave her by herself. So Graham, dear boy, is missing this year's Weird Weekend. He'll be here on and off, setting things up before it happens, but we won't have the pleasure of his company here, I'm afraid, this year. Other people who are missing will be back next year. There are two particularly spring to mind. Jess Hurd, who has been on the ocean wave for how long, David?
Since 23rd of March.
You're counting the hours, aren't you?
Yes.
Dave has not had his girlfriend in the country since the 23rd of March, and she's at the moment somewhere on the high seas in the Mediterranean. And David's going off within hours of the weekend ending on Sunday night to get out to Heathrow to fly down to sea. I wasn't expecting to go out. That was very nice of you. Now, another person who isn't here, he isn't here because he's had the date for the last 4 years and only remembered to tell me about 6 months ago. Max Blake, he'll be back next year, but he is actually at a wedding this weekend that he's had the date for years. Other people who you will see are missing. Some people will be back, some people won't. Some people I miss, some people I'll be heartily glad never to see again. But it's lovely to have you guys all here. Now, something I completely forgot. Karina, have you got something for Ronan?
Yes.
Okay. It's Ronan's birthday. I have got somewhere a card for him. We have got somewhere a cake for him. I don't know where either of them are. But Ronan, happy birthday, dear boy. Okay, guys. Oh dear, Ronan. Let's hear for Bangor's Mr. Entertainment. This weekend is always a very special one because it is, as far as I'm aware, one of the only times in the year that people from a wide range of different disciplines all come together to talk about things that have only really got one important thing in common. The important thing is that these are things which slip through the cracks of accepted belief, accepted scientific belief. The Centre for Fortean Zoology isn't a paranormal organisation, it's not a mumbo-jumbo organisation, it's not a hocus-pocus organisation, it's just an organisation who believes that the human race is massively arrogant if it thinks that we know all the answers. We don't. And there are a hell of a lot of laws of science that just haven't been discovered yet. There are new discoveries being made all the time. Lars, I don't know, where's Lars? He's there in the back. Lars had an exciting discovery this afternoon, which I'm sure he'll be telling you about in his talk later. New discoveries are made all the time, and new discoveries can be made anywhere, including Hartland. Like I said, a lot of things have changed. We are going to be this is the beginning of a new tradition of the Weird Weekend, but we're starting fresh here in the small school, and I'm sure over the next few years all sorts of new traditions will evolve, but some things remain the same, don't they, Richard?
They certainly do.
Have you got it, Richard?
What?
Have you seen Barry Tadcaster?
Oh, he's having a fag round the back.
Go and find Barry Tadcaster. Or do you want to first explain a few things?
No, I never explain anything.
He never explains anything. I don't know what's happened to Richard Freeman, but I would like to explain to all of you who've never been here before that although I am the chairperson, the ringmaster of the circus, I don't introduce the talks. The talks are introduced by Mr. Barry Tadcaster and his little furry friend, Orang Pendek. I think I've got to get this lint out of my leg.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am Barry Tadcaster and this is my friend Ken Jevons, who is an Orang Pendek. Hello, my name is Ken Jevons and I am an Orang Pendek. Unlike most other Orang Pendeks, I do not live in the Indonesian island of Sumatra. I live in the London borough of Lewisham, where I am a council ombudsman and I sort out all problems pertaining to pilau rice and nothing else. Our first speaker today is Nick Wadham. Nick Wadham venerates Ned Sherrin, and he is here today to talk about a demented scarecrow who is very keen on motocross. Take it away, Nick Wadham.
Oh, what are you done to it? It worked last night.
Just one way of making sure.
Try again. Put your fingers in your ears.
Once again, the avant-garde electronic style.
What have you done to it today? No.
No.
You killed it. Turn it down a bit more. Try the gain on the on the mic.
It's a bit less, bit down a bit. Or a bit up a bit, down a bit, up a bit, down a bit more, a bit different. That's it, good. Hello everybody, I'm really sorry about that. I've got now. I'm back. I'm really sorry about that. My name's Nick. These are my children that I bought off of eBay who are going to help me tonight. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about Bugfest and some of the crazy stuff we do. For instance, last weekend we were up at Carfest on stage doing a crazy show in front of about 10,000 people, so that was pretty groovy. Raised a lot of money for children in need, so we're really pleased with ourselves. We visit schools, non-profit organisations, charities, preschools, and anyone that's anyway vaguely interested in creepy crawlies. And as I'm a bit of a creepy crawly nut, it's great because I finally found a job that I actually am good at and I enjoy. And if I have an argument with a boss, it's a bit like having multiple personality disorder. It's great. Right, so the first thing we're going to look at is snails. I'm going to bring some giant African land snails out for you. Kids love these guys. One's called Frank and one's called Betty. Does anyone want to have a go at holding one? Do you want to hold a snail? Yeah, come on, honest now. What's your name, mate? Seth. Alright then. Here, do you want to hold Frank? Here, let's get his wife out. She's called Betty. There is a joke there if you're 30, but if you're 30 and you don't get it, you were poor because your parents didn't have a telly in the 70s. Do we have any, do you want to, hello, do you want to come and have a go at this, Rosie? Come and hold us now, Rosie. Come on down. You'll love it, you know you will. Snails are awesome creatures. These are giant African land snails. For obvious reasons, they're snails. They live on the land. They come from Africa, and they're gigantic. Here you go, Rosie. Hold that one. Hold it like an ice cream, but don't lick it. It won't taste like one. Yes, you can eat these things, but I wouldn't recommend it because something like that is probably going to taste like your dad's slipper cooked in elephant snot. Okay, go off the lead. It probably looked like it as well. Can you guys tell which one's the boy and which one's the girl?
Is this the...
This is a trick question, isn't it? So is Frank a boy? Okay. So Rosie, do you think Betty's a girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense, wouldn't it? But what if Frank's a girl?
Well, that'd be weird.
It would be weird, wouldn't it? What if Frank's both a boy and a girl?
That'd be weird.
That'd be really weird. So should we make a visual representation? Rosie and Seth, yeah? Seth, stand right next to each other. Alright, that's it. Don't worry if you touch a girl, you won't explode. It's a playground myth, alright? Join you together. You're not Rosie, you're not Seth. You're Roseffi, okay? Which means you've got long blonde hair and nail varnish and knickers on this side. And you pick your nose and eat it and fart a lot, alright? So let's let that sink in a minute. It's tapping on the door. Does it sink in? No? Oh, don't worry. Jokes get worse. Think about this, alright? So you're both mum and a dad in the same body. Which means you've got both boy bits and girl bits at the same time. What if you need a wee? Just sit down or stand up. Snails, they've got such hard life decisions to make, haven't they? It's like, oh! They don't bother, they just go where they slither along like that. And it comes out like green toothpaste in his case. Don't use green toothpaste. Okay, if you find it in Africa, it's not toothpaste. Alright, so mum and dad, same body, boy bits, girl bits, same time. Can you make your own baby, Seth? Do you think? Do you need another snail? Do you need to get married if you're boy and girl?
I don't know.
You don't know. You need another snail. Snails make babies by snail snogging, which is what you're going to demonstrate now. Over to you, Rosie and Seth. He gets it. Excellent. Brilliant. Well done. Hang on, let's mic that up. Again. Everyone missed it. Go on. Snog. Ah, they're lovely, aren't they? What's up, Frank? I love her. Ah, sweet. Nice, I first. Show me good night. Okay. Let's go to Chapel of Slug. So off they go to the Chapel of Slug. Snog, get married, and they both get pregnant. So you, being a smaller snail, for instance, you'll probably lay about 100 to 150 eggs. But you, being a great big mama daddy one, you will probably produce somewhere in the region about 250 to 300, maybe even 400 eggs, because that's a girt massive snail. That's how you say big in Somerset, girt massive. If anything's big, it's girt massive. If anything's tasty, it's girt lush. In case anyone's wondering. But let's pop these back and give Seth and Rosie a great big clap. Well done, guys. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, make sure you wash your hands with soap and water because these slither around on their own poo and wee. A bit like my sister on a Friday night. Because you don't want snail poo on your bogies now, do you, Seth? That'd be gross! Right then, what have we got now? Millipedes. Who wants to have a look at the millipedes? Millipedes are really, really cool. Does anyone want to hold one? Let's have a boring grown-up. Who's going to hold a millipede? Yeah. Come on! Hello. Right, so we've got Mark here. Marky Mark. This is Big Bertha. She's around about 8 inches, 9 inches long. Now these guys have been on the planet for somewhere in the region of around about 700 million years. And now I know there's some very well-intentioned people who like to inform you that the Earth is in fact 6,000 years old. And the fossils were put there by the devil to test us and confuse us. I beg to differ. We have got fossils of these things ranging from around about 1 foot to 8 foot in length. in various states of assembly that come from around about 700 million to 400 million years ago. The biggest ones, the Arthropleura, you would have found from 400 million years ago. They were huge, 8 foot, great big long monstrous things. So if we imagine we've got Mark here at one end, Brooke, you sort of come and stand here. He was good, it's £50 on eBay, buy it now. So down here we've got the scary head end, got to go rah, rah, woo. And down here, obviously the smelly poo button, it makes poo poo, I'm like, poo, 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 poo. It does as well, blimey. Most people's go poo. Anyway, are you from a different planet? Ah, me too, me too. Yeah, I'll put that there. So millipedes are awesome creatures. They are walking, talking chemical factories. I say that because we do have late night discussions about quantum physics. It's amazing what you can get from a millipede. But focusing on the chemical factory side of things, these things have got hundreds of holes all along the sides of their bodies. And depending on what species of millipede it is, whether it's sitting on the loo or standing up, if it's sitting on the loo, you know it's called a millipede, don't you? Yeah. Some produce iodine, ones like this, these are the giant African millipedes, they produce iodine, which is never to be found in nature as a liquid. Your science teachers will gladly tell you full of glee, in a very serious voice like this. My science teachers talk like that. But actually it does exist inside millipedes. They've got little glands in there and they are able to extract the element iodine from the gunk. And then there was light.
Now you can see what he's holding.
Yeah, they extract the iodine from their diets and then they squirt it out from the side of their bodies. They are amazing. Technically though, iodine only exists in nature as a diamond-shaped grey crystal. If you heat it up, turns into a gas, it doesn't melt. Weird, isn't it? Some millipedes take their defence a stage further. You have some species that are bright pink. For instance, I haven't got any of those because they're very expensive. Thank you very much. Give Mark a big clap. There's a very dangerous millipede there. Some can produce hydrogen cyanide as their defence. That's what you find in suicide pills. Very useful, but never enough in a millipede to kill you. And some produce formaldehyde, which is also pretty groovy. I mean, how do you get formaldehyde in nature? But some millipedes are able to do it. And that stuff is found in MDF. I think we're only in the few countries that allow the sale and use of MDF because it's got formaldehyde in it. And when you go with a saw, all the dust that comes out will give you lung cancer. It's worse than smoking 20 a day, apparently. It's also used by museums to preserve dead animals. When you see a dodo in a glass jar of liquid going, they do that. You go in a jar of formaldehyde, you'll go, that's what that is. It preserves dead animals. Undertakers use it to stop dead people turning purple before family have decided to burn them or bury them. And I'm thinking of marketing it to all the guys who've got mother-in-laws or ex-mother-in-laws because it's a wonderful Botox alternative. Perfect for fixing that rectal, yes, I'm very pleased to see you, grin. Yeah, wonderful stuff. Now then, let's move on to some cockroaches. Hissing cockroaches, here they are. These are my boys, hissing cockroaches. Jeffrey and Linda. These come from Madagascar. Do you want to hold a cockroach? Alright, excellent. Come on, old Jeffrey. He's a pretty groovy customer. He might, if he runs up your arm, it's just, he's got this thing about licking armpit juice, okay? So be careful. They're amazing creatures, they're omnivorous, they're not carnivores, they don't hunt and predate other animals, but if they come across a dead carcass, they're going to eat it. They're not going to waste anything. Nature does not waste anything, it abhors waste. The only thing that wastes is us, because we've got inbuilt redundancy and consumerism. Bugs don't do consumerism. This is awesome, because if it gets scared, it hisses to scare off its enemies. It's not going to... I don't think he's going to hiss tonight. He's had a couple of drinks too many. He's not going to behave. You've tamed him, haven't you? You tamed the cockroach. Excellent. Stop stealing my limelight. That's show. If this is attacked by something like a rat or a lizard, it'll hiss at it like this. Because these things have evolved this ability to squirt air through the holes in the sides of their body, their spiracles, and out of a vent at the end. It is quite loud, it's very effective, and in effect, say, pretend I'm a stupid rat, okay? I'm going to be a stupid rat, you're the clever cockroach, and I'm going to try and eat you. Hey, you're going to run your guts out and go with your intestines, boy! Ah! The rat runs away, needs new pants, and is convinced that this silly looking cockroach, which is very smart, is actually a snake that's about to eat him. Clever, isn't it? Bugs are cool. If it wasn't for bugs, none of us would be here today, because bugs made the world what it is. Not some fictional fairy tale character. Bugs, over 400 to 700 million years of eating each other, dying, eating basic primitive plants, and plants dying and rotting, eating each other, eating plants, plants eating bugs, bugs eating plants, bugs pooing, plants eating the bugs poo, bugs eating poo, and eating dead bodies, and soil erosion and dust from space coming down and landing in, making all the soil what it is today over a long period of time. That's why we've got plants and why we've got trees. You take every single bug away from this planet, 50 years, no more humans, and the planet will go, oh, finally. But it won't be able to do anything because there's no bugs to build everything back. It's true. Very true. Right then, stick insects. Going to move on quickly to stick insects. Going to have to rush quickly because obviously we're a late start. These are awesome creatures. These are the first things I ever kept as a kid, as a pet. Now this is Hartland grey eyes from Malaysia. It's a rainforest stick insect. Now many people think stick insects, oh, boring brown stick-shaped insect. They're not. Check that out. This guy is a back-to-front pincushion. If you're an insectivorous animal and you try and eat that, he's going to slice and dice your tongue. Be able to stick earrings in it, 20 or 30 of them at the same time. Those spikes are needle point sharp. Anyone want to have a poke? Give a poke. There we are. He's got a very strong body and he's quite prickly there. Now let's get his girlfriend out. Anyone feel brave? Pass me the box, I'll do it, because it's a bit savage in there. I like to keep stick insects that rip the skin off of your hand. There are some amazing stick insects. There's 4,000 different kinds of stick insect. Now this is his girlfriend. Stick insects, like many insects and many animals, display sexual dimorphism. That means the males and females are clearly distinct. We even have this in human beings. Up to a certain point, I mean, when kids go to college, sometimes it's difficult to tell the difference between the two, speaking as a college lecturer. Mistakes are easy to make. And this one is particularly hard to get hold of because she's got very sharp prickles on the sides as well. Try and pick her up off my hand. No, thank you. I'm not picking that up.
I'm sure she's very beautiful.
She is a gorgeous girl. Another one from Malaysia is this one, the jungle nymph. Now this is the one that rips your fingers open. It's got very heavily armoured back legs, very sharp spikes, highly prized amongst stick insects and entomologists. Total loony. If you annoy them, they raise their legs and go and slice at you, and they draw blood. Now you know that moment you all watched Crocodile Dundee, yeah, when the kid gets the little pen off his key. And he goes, that's not a knife. Right, well, this is a stick insect. Wow. Farnacia zhangfengliensis. Try saying that after a bit. This is from Vietnam rainforests. It is a stunning, beautiful creature. It likes extreme sports and bungee jumping. There we go. Well saved. It's one of the largest stick insects. It's not the longest. The next longest is Phobaticus ceratopes. Its body length is about there. And then you have Phobaticus charney, which is around about that long. It's enormous, great big stick insect. So yeah, that's a brief insight into creepy crawlies and wonderful creatures. Tomorrow I shall be bringing down some of the more deadly stuff, because we do have some rather unpleasant creatures that we bring out. We'll bring those later tomorrow, because we've got to move on to the next order of business. Jon has very kindly published a book for me. Yeah, thank you, Jon. I'm going to read you a little bit of it, because you're all going to buy a copy. If you all buy a copy, I'll give £1 per copy sold to children in need, because I'm really going for children in need. It's a series of 3 stories. It starts off at the seaside where Henry Owl discovers a magical tooth. Henry Owl is a young snowy owl who discovers a magical dinosaur tooth at the seaside whilst looking for lost pirate owl treasure. So there's a lot of anthropomorphization. So I know owls don't come out in the daytime. If that is your hang-up, you're missing the point. Okay. You've forgotten what it is to be a child and super intelligent with fantastic brains for imagination and the ability to let go of the boring world. Let's go then.
I'm sitting comfortably. Good.
Henry Owl is a young snowy owl. He's 8 in owl years, and today he woke up really excited. Today he's going to the seaside with Mummy Owl, Daddy Owl, Lily, Harriet Owl, his oldest sisters. After a long hot fly in the summer sun, they arrived. Poor Daddy Owl was red-faced, puffing, because he had to carry all the heavy picnic stuff, as dads do. You wait, when you're a dad, everyone will go, "Hey!" And you'll be going, "Oh, where? You wait. That's why you get calluses in your hands, because you carry everything. The beach looked white, shiny and soft. The sea was sparkling. It was as blue as the sky, with small, gentle waves that whispered across the shore and fizzled away as they kissed the sand. This is gonna be great, thought Henry as he dashed towards the sea. Hold on, Henry, called Mummy Owl. You have to help carry the buckets and spades first. Then you can run off and play with your sisters. Oh, Mum, they're boring. All they want to do is giggle at the boy owls. Do I really have to play with them? Mummy Owl smiled kindly at Henry. Okay, of course not. You can play on your own if you like. So with the blanket set and the buckets laid, the bucket set and the beach blankets laid, Henry was off to explore. At the top of the beach, there were cracked and jagged cliffs. Some of them had just fallen down after a bad sea storm. Henry climbed around on the big rocks, pretending to be an explorer looking for lost pirate owl treasure. Then something caught his eye. Something white and long, pointed at one end, curved, and yes! It was a tooth! A huge tooth! Dare you say it? A dinosaur tooth. With his fine firmly clutched in his wing, he half flew, half flapped his way back to where his parents were sitting. His heart pounding, he drew up to his mum and dad, and in between frantic breaths, he gleefully announced his discovery, his face alight with excitement. Look at what I found! Here's a dinosaur tooth! Breathlessly, he handed it to his dad, who gave Henry's tooth the due attention it deserved. He raised a brow. Yes, without a doubt. I bet it's a big, meat-eating dinosaur. Just look at the sharp edges. It looks like it fell out yesterday. He continued in a jokey fashion. Better make sure whoever the owner is isn't nearby. Oh, Dad, groaned Henry. His mum was just as appreciative, but all his sisters did was to tell him to get a life. Girls. So boring. They would be interested all right if it was a picture of John Eltham Depp or Orlando Bloom. Forgetting the girls, he went back to the cliff fall where he had found the tooth. As he wandered, he noticed something rather peculiar indeed when he was facing a certain way. The tooth began to buzz and rumble about. The longer he walked, the stronger it got, until he saw a great big black cave. I like big caves. Caves are good, especially if you can't see in them. What do you find? He checked. No one else seemed to have noticed it. Standing with his back to the sun, the cave certainly did not look much fun. The tooth sent a tingle of adventure through him. Started at his wingtip and then ended up making his heart beat faster. What an adventure it would be to explore the cave. Should he go in? Oh, yeah, so. Even in a deep breath, he stepped in. Nothing happened. All he could hear was the dripping of water clipping and echoing around the solid walls in imitation of the clicking of his claws on the ground rock. He smelled stale seaweed and slime. He walked further into the dreary gloom. Then the tooth began to glow. This time he had no doubt magic's happening. He almost tripped up on a big boulder, but it was not a boulder. It was a huge skull. A huge skull that was connected to a huge skeleton. There was a tooth missing from the skull. There it is. It's got nice pictures in it too. I like pictures. Pictures are good. Don't like too many words. With a little smile, he brought his one closer to see if it was the one that had fallen out. He slid it in. Perfect fit. When he tried to take it back out, it was stuck. And the skull moved. If you want to find out the next bit, you gotta buy it. This is a children's book, obviously, and I have taken the liberty of taking my knowledge and experience of teaching in primary schools and used the curriculum. So it's all about dinosaurs, because they do dinosaurs in schools. And we've got mini beast stories, Henry Owl and the Honey Thief, where he has to solve the problem of who's stealing honey from the beehives. And the last one is set in Africa. It's called Henry Owl and the Ivory Hunters. So it's all very topical. And it's all about nature, but without being a boring nature book that not all kids are going to be interested in. It's sweet little adventures, lovely characters that they're all going to identify with. You're all going to buy a copy, yeah? Yeah. If they don't, you've got to buy them all of them, alright? So 400 quid. Cool. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I have got a limited number of copies. I've got about 30 or 40, so there's enough for everyone. Okay. And I know who you all are now, so, you know, I've got an eidetic memory for faces. Don't think you're getting out without buying one.
Well, Nick, David, am I coming through? Remember, I'm still there.
Yes.
That's nice. Okay, Karina, can you come down, please, love? Can you come down, please, love?
Oh,
I got it.
It's not what, it's pardon.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Nick is going to be selling his remarkable book. It's actually a really nice book. And what I like about it is that it does bring some quite important and quite intricate lessons in natural history alive for kids who otherwise might not have been interested, and hopefully it will open the doors to kids who will then become as obsessed with the magic of the natural world as I have been all my life. I've known Nick a long time. He's a very strange fellow.
It shows, look at my eyes.
Nicholas, that was because we were drinking my tequila last night.
Oh yeah, see, memories gone.
But I've known Nick a long time. It's always a joy to have him here, and he'll be back tomorrow with the Wild and Deadly Animal Show. But first of all, before Nick rushes off up to his stall, you all go and buy his book. We've got something happening, something else that isn't on the bill, something else that I have to do now. And it's a nice thing I have to do. As anybody who's ever been to a Weird Weekend or seen the films of the Weird Weekend on YouTube or read about it on our website knows, the Weird Weekend isn't just a information exchange. It's not just a place where people can come and learn and people can explain the results of their researches and their life's work. It's also a time when we celebrate people who've done something really, really good. And each year, I always wanted to give a proper award, but it started off, when Richard and I started the CFZ Awards some years ago, we couldn't afford a proper award, so it was actually an empty Newcastle brand can with something stupid glued to the top of it. But we did, a few years after that, we decided that the only thing really, the great and the good of cryptozoology and Forteana really deserved was a small plastic baboon painted gold and a hug from my wife. Tomorrow night I give out what is the, I think, the 13th annual CFZ Awards, but there's one person who's getting one who can't be here tomorrow. Saskia. Saskia, come up here. You have to say yes, because you are my pupil, you are my intern, and you have to treat your supervisor with some amount of respect. Yes, you do, you horrible child. You get, give it to her. You get a plastic baboon and a certificate. Saskia can't be here tomorrow, she has family stuff. She came to us first when she was 14, and she did a week with us as a intern doing work experience. And last October, I got a phone call from her mum saying, hey, Saskia wants to come back. I said, of course she can. I wanted you to stay on, and I wanted you to abscond from school and come and work for me anyway. But unfortunately, the education authorities don't like that sort of thing. So I had to wait until she's all grown up now at college, and she comes to us a couple of days a week, and we wouldn't be able to run it without her. Now, Saskia, you're going to be cross with me. Would you hold my microphone for a second? You're going to be very cross with me. Because Saskia, you're going to Africa, aren't you?
Yeah.
When?
March next year.
Now, luckily Saskia's grandmother's here, because I don't trust Saskia at all. I trust her with my animals, I trust her with everything else, but I don't trust her to actually cash this cheque. So it's going to grandmother. Will you make sure this horrible granddaughter of yours actually puts 50 quid from the Centre for Forteana towards her? You make sure she does it, because I don't trust her at all. She would refuse to do it. But she's a horrible, disobedient young lady. And it is really, it shows the sort of calibre of interns we have these days. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Saskia Ingram. Okay, Nicola, do you want to bring your books down here? Or do you want people to go up to you? We have about 5-10 minutes for you to do stuff in.
They're under the
because you actually, your first time in, you actually came in quicker than you were supposed to.
I did.
You did.
Did I?
Yeah.
Are we ahead of schedule?
Yes.
Where's the clock?
On my wrist.
It's an invisible clock.
It doesn't matter. When you join the weird weekend, normal laws of space and time don't apply.
I know it's big time, why do you really
It is. Yeah. Do you want to bring your books down here and flog them, or do you want people to go up
I want to
see your animals?
Sit here, because it will massage my overinflated ego and sense of self-importance.
Oh, not another one.
I've been around you.
Nicholas, your overinflated ego, if it gets any more massage, I'm going to have to give you a damn good thrashing with my walking stick.
No, just get a bigger venue to fit my head in.
Oh! I've always wanted to do that. So what are you going to do, Nicky?
I'll sit here if it's what's easiest.
Just get some books.
Alright.
God almighty, you just can't get the calibre, not just the interns you can't get the proper calibre of. Look at the speakers. You try to get your speakers to flog their book, and what do? They'll wander off somewhere. And now,
thanks, Dave.
Nicholas, what is that box that David's